Hey guys, Team True Villains here, and in this video, Nikki and I will discuss the meta decks and all the other decks with the new cards from the EX07 set. But before we start the video, please leave a like and subscribe. So let's start with the first deck, Nikki.
Alright, so let's talk about Dexter Goramon. It didn't win a regionals, if
Yeah,
I'm correct, but it came in third place. And we predicted that this deck is going to be really strong. The debate is just, is it better with the Lugamon line or with the Doramon line? I played it a bit. I think the Doramon line is a tad bit better just because you can protect your Digimon from bouncing. And when you digivolve by effect, you won't get targeted by Imperial Dramon, and that's one issue that the Lugamon line has because you digivolve all the time by effect, and you can't get into the game like that, or you just need a wide board for it to work, right?
yeah,
So, but for me, still tier 1, a really strong
yeah,
deck.
yeah. For me, it's also tier 1. It's really good. Like you said, you can digivolve from the trash, which is like broken in my opinion. And you have like versatility because the big one can digivolve, which is amazing in this current state of the game. So yeah, I would also put it in tier 1. Probably not like the best deck of the tier 1s, but still a good deck.
Yeah. And now let's go to Fenry, one of my favorite decks. So I thought it's tier 1, but I would put it in tier 1.5 just because it's not that consistent as other decks. And one thing that it can't do is to play around much. Like you have one straight evolution line that you want to achieve, and that's essentially what the deck does, right? So you want to go into Takemi Kazuchi and then attack. And we saw now a small trend that Kari's played when a um, security is trashed. One of opponent's Digimon gets minus security attack. So, I mean, this is one card that stops this deck really good. And just because of two things, right? It's not that consistent, and you only can play one line with small variations, but that's that. It's for me isn't in tier 1 anymore.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like it can of course always win tournament, can always perform really well, but like you experience yourself, the problem sometimes with this is you only have the straightforward line, and sometimes you don't get your pieces fast enough. I mean, it's literally possible to win turn 2, turn 3 without a problem, but sometimes you just don't get the pieces, and then it doesn't win. So yeah, I mean, it's a really strong deck, but it loses against itself.
Yes, and yeah, I think that's a good conclusion about this deck. And ancient. So ancient, I'm also like torn because I played it a lot. I played it with blue base, I played it with red base, and sometimes you just win everything without any problem, and sometimes you lose by bricking and having 4 tamers in hand, and or 4 Kendogarurumon and not the other one. So if it performs well, I mean, I would still put it in tier 0 because it's stronger than other decks, right?
Yeah,
Tier
for
1,
yeah, yeah,
tier
yeah,
1, yeah.
yeah. For me, it's also tier 1, just because, like, of course, you need the pieces, but here the difference is you have more options, and if you have them, you can literally kill everything. And what also amazing with this deck is that you can bounce opponent's Digimon to hand, which is also great. So yeah,
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about Shine. What do you think about Shine, Greymon?
I would I would put Shine Greymon in the lower end of tier 1.5.
Mm-hmm.
And also, just to clarify, guys, if we put right now a deck in tier 1, tier 1.5, or 2 or something, they don't have an order. in that tier list. So only because like right now we put Shine Greymon on the right side, it doesn't mean it's worse. It's just like for simplicity, because of course it always depends on the matchups. But back to Shine Greymon, yeah, I have experienced it too. I brought it to a tournament. It was amazing. Sometimes you win like turn 3, 4 with your setup, and the opponent literally can't do anything. Sometimes it's a bit worse if you play against opponents that have abilities to destroy your tamers and such, which isn't nice. It's also really cool with the new edition because you can like the new burst mode was like made perfectly with the old one. So for example, you can go in your turn into the old burst mode with burst digitation, attack, do 3, 4 damage, whatever. Then end of your turn, it gets the just like the level 7 Shine Greymon burst gets trashed. Then it's level 6 again, and if the opponent blindly attacks you and you have the ace, you basically just win the game on the spot. So I would put it on the lower 1.5 because it needs a bit of setup. It needs sometimes the right cards. But if it's a slower game and the opponent can't delete your tamers by effect, you will probably win the game.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a good conclusion. And now let's talk about Red Hybrid Ancients. It is a strong deck. I think this is like a local winner deck.
Mm-hmm.
And I would still put it in tier 1.5 just because the new support is awesome. You can do a lot. But I don't think it's ready for like a regional level win. Maybe with BT18. But right now on let's say a locals level, it can easily win locals.
Yeah. Yeah.
7 Great Demon Lords got a regionals win. I think this deck deserves to be tier 1. And with EX07 it gets some support. Lilith 1x antibody, you can play that card in this deck. Yeah, it's just good. It's so strong. Just like um, with Royal Knights in BT13, you can't put anything on the board because it's going to get deleted anyways.
Yeah, the deck is really strong. The only, let's say, small problem, of course, it doesn't like dethrone the deck, but there's a new card in EX07. It's like a Psychmon, but for blue. So this means you can play it in Mirage, you can play it in Ancient Garurumon, blue base and everything. So if you want to basically counter 7 Great Demon Lords, let's say for example in your locals, there's there's a lot of player playing it. You can counter it now even with blue, but still it's still one of the greatest deck or best decks.
What makes this deck so strong is Lucemon.
Yeah,
because Lucemon is so sticky on the board, and yeah, you have to make such difficult decisions playing against it. Do you want now to delete a tamer, or do you want to trash a card from your security? And yeah, it's really strong. Lucemon is really strong and makes this deck like really good.
Yeah, and also like for me, before the banned list, I ranked the deck a bit lower, just because when I was playing with Magnamon X against it, I didn't struggle at all, just because like I was able to play I tried to place a Magnamon X as fast as possible on the board, and then I was just able to aggressively attack the security, because I've just thought to myself like, if they're trying to, I can just attack and have mine suspended, because if they will try and trash my security, I basically unsuspend my Magnamon, then can stop the attack and then just win from there. So, but now, of course, with the hits to vaccine, it got a lot worse. And so, in my opinion, one of the best counters against it isn't that viable anymore. So, this also means it automatically it's better because it doesn't have that many bad matchups in a big tournament, for example.
And what I didn't see any play is Numemon, to be honest. I don't even know where to put it right now. I didn't see it top anything. I didn't see it in locals. People just don't play it anymore, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we can say it's probably somewhere around tier 2. It's worse than the good decks, and a lot of people are also probably just trying out other decks, which is fine. So, but I wouldn't count it out. I would say like a dedicated Numemon player can still probably bring out a great deck. I mean, you still have nice plays also with Etimon and Valkyriemon to force an attack and everything. But I would say, yeah, it isn't tier 1 anymore.
But what I think what has potential could be Numemon paired with the Sandrilmon. Let's do it like that. And I think this has potential to be a good deck.
Yeah.
But don't take my words for granted. Let's put it like this.
Yeah.
Because we saw some play in Japan, this makes also a lot of sense. And it is new. I mean, the first 2 weeks of EX07, nobody really knows how to play around these new types and yeah, let's see if Overclock helps Numemon.
Yeah, of course. I mean, only time will tell, and we will also like test it out. And if you're guys interested, we can also do a deck profile on that deck. But yeah, let's see how the meta plays out.
And just like I said, I think that Mirage is gonna get back. And with like all the new stuff with Hexablaumon, with the new Otamon, I think is his name, the one that blocks play costs, Mirage is just gonna be too strong. And it now also has an infinite loop, which is stupid.
Yeah.
So for me, Mirage tier 1.
Yeah, I would put it between 1 and 1.5 because it's a strong deck. Probably not the strongest of them all, but still a really good deck.
Then Magnamon, I think we can now tell that this is the Weemon line. I don't think that there's gonna be much yellow armor vaccine anymore.
Yeah.
What's your take on it?
Yeah, like I tried it out multiple times to also like first of all the Vmon deck, it's really good. It's probably 1.5, maybe also a bit higher, or like between 1 and 1.5. It's amazing. You can do a lot of damage. It's so good. Just the problem is to trigger the Magnamon X in your turn to not play in aces. So for example, Blinding Ray is of course a card, but if you don't draw it, it's your Digimon is wide open to or also an option card in security or like an ace to destroy it. Then the vaccine line, like I said, I tried it out. I built a lot of decks around it. And yeah. Sorry guys for the quick interruption or like the cut. We had like some things to do, but right now let's continue with vaccine, the Magnamon X. The problem with this deck is like sometimes it isn't that consistent anymore because of course you need the Patamon, but sometimes even if you have the Patamon, you don't have a level 4 in your security anymore just because the TK. This means also you can less stack your security also for Emissary of Hope's play. And of course, if you have the Dream Hand and all the good cards, it can beat every deck, but now it's a lot more luck based. It's a lot more luck based. This is why I would put it at tier 2 because like of course you can get lucky 2 or 3 rounds, but in the long run for a big tournament like 7, 8, 9 rounds, you probably won't be that lucky that many times. So I would put it as a tier 2.
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about if you do it like that, maybe Red Hybrid would also be tier 2.
Yeah.
Let's put it like that, and let's see.
And of course,
Mhm.
just to remember again, guys, with this, we don't say that red hybrid is worse. It's not like in the same tier there is like no order.
Now Imperial Dramon is easily tier 1.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it just needs too much to be set up. But if it is set up, then it's hard to play against it, really. And it's really fast. So my only problem with it is, like, if you have a big tournament and you have 8 or 9 rounds, like, you can be successful 7-8 rounds, but the last round or so is maybe not gonna work in your favor. So that's why it's tier 1. I just have my, like, personal bias, I think.
Yeah, it's like
Mm.
sometimes it's the best deck, sometimes it also loses against itself. I would still say it's much more consistent. And also, like, what's amazing in this deck, it's like you can your opponent can literally win you the game. Like, for example, if they try to play aggressive against you and like in the first 2 security you have a tamer, it's basically game over. Because you give them so much advantage and they get do so much. And of course the fighter mode Ace is amazing. It can bounce back under the deck, which is so crucial in this spot. But sometimes it like loses against too aggressive decks, like for example Fenry Lugamore or Ancient Garuru, because basically you can bounce them their cards back to hand, which doesn't trigger partition. So yeah, I would still put it as tier 1 because it's strong, but again, not as the best deck.
Yeah. Now, Omnimon Ace, I think we can easily put this in tier 2. If you see the things, it does really much. If you don't see it, it doesn't do anything. So, and it's straightforward, right? You just want to have both level 6s or 1, and if the opponent attacks, you blast it, evolve, or you do it the shenanigans with the option card. That's why we put it in tier 2. I think there's not much to discuss. It's a cool deck. Everybody likes it. So
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Nothing to add here.
Yeah. Now,
Now to your
EX7.
new favorite deck.
Yeah, so the Fagamon, I really like the Liberator stuff. To be honest, I'm like a little geek. I read the novels, I read the webcomic, and it's really cool. I think it has so much style, and I bought uh, all the things. So, and I tried to put 2 green decks together and make one deck. If you want to see that, please write down in the comments below if you want to see this. And but my opinion is even with the new stuff, it's tier 2, somewhere between tier 2 and tier 1.5. And we don't have any benchmarks for now. This is just now predicting. With all the promos and the EX7 stuff, it can still do many things. And if you correctly play with Vortex, I think you can take advantage of it really good with the tamers. And the new tamer that came out with EX7 is really strong. That one that gives piercing a blocker at the end of turn. And
Yeah. I also wanted to add just that, like you said, we have to see how it plays out, because like in the OCG in Asia, there was until this point where EX07 came out to them, there was no banned list, so most of the decks were even stronger. So maybe for us it will be a bit better, just because like the other decks are a bit weaker, or also that we sometimes like try out new decks, new things. So yeah, maybe somebody will cook a really great deck list. And of course it can also play the I don't know how it's called. Like they have a green Pillowmon that stops the opponent from
Mhm.
playing cards with card effects, which is really good against, for example, Imperial Dramon. You can stop their tamers with that. So yeah, maybe it can perform. But only time will tell.
Yeah, I think so too, because um i- yeah, it has a lot of things. The ST Zefagamon is unaffected in your turn, and the other one has Security Tech Plus, and you have many disruptive things. So let's see. Let's put it in tier 1.5. Maybe it's going to drop to tier 2.
Yeah, and for me the same is with the next deck. Like it has potential. Overclock can be really broken. It can also be countered easily. I will just say, guys, if you have the cards, try it out in the first few tournaments when like the opponents probably don't know how to play against it. It will be also a lot of fun for you, but only time will tell if it's like a bit worse. I would also place this deck between 1.5 and 2, and we will see when the meta plays out what exactly is the ranking of this deck.
Now, Starmon, one deck which is really stylish. It has so many new cool cards. It looks great. The alt arts are great, but I think it's like a classic tier 2 deck, right?
Yeah,
Nothing to add here. And
yeah,
this
no,
heavy metal Dramon I think is fun.
it's fun. I mean, we drew an alternative art. It looks amazing. We will also try it out, but it's more of a fun deck.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
like we said, guys, also in the last video, fun doesn't mean it win. It doesn't win. It can also win like small locals and everything. It can also perform, but for us, fun decks are just the decks that we are not planning to bring to a big tournament, to like a regional where you should win like 7 or 8 rounds in a row. So yeah, it can always perform 3-4 rounds, can be really fun, can surprise the opponent with your effects, but for us it's just not the competitive deck.
Also, with the next one, I think is also a fun deck.
Yeah,
Dragon Links, I think it can do stuff. It is fun. It looks great also, like Beelstar. It looks really great. I don't think that
yeah,
it's gonna do much.
yeah,
And Hexablaumon,
absolutely.
I think, has potential to be a good deck.
Hmm.
It is really disruptive. Your opponents can't suspend, which is really strong. Means they can't block or they can't attack. And Ice Clad, really cool mechanic. With that, you can overpower your opponent, even though if that when you're not stronger.
Yeah,
And let's see what it does. I mean, with him and the Chris Pale Ramon, you have piercing and 3 checks. I mean, this is strong. Not
yeah.
gonna lie.
And just for you guys, like if you don't know what the card does, it basically says when digivolving, you can trash 4 Digivolution card of opponent's Digimon. Then if the opponent has one with no Digivolution card, you can return one of their tamers to the bottom of the deck, which is also amazing. Always tamer removal is broken. And of course, opponent turn. None of their Digimon with many or fewer Digivolution card as Hexabaumon can suspend. So in my opinion, it's also a counter, or it can be a good counter against Imperial Dramon, because you remove their partition.
Mm-hmm.
And when you remove 4 Digivolution cards, this will mean that your Hexablaumon has more Digivolution cards than the Imperial Dramon fighter mode, so it cannot be bounced back to the deck.
Mm-hmm.
So this can be a nice counter pick if you're locals or tournament. You're expecting a lot of Imperial Dramon. Try it out; it's amazing.
Yes. So I think this concludes the video very well. Thank you guys for staying. Thank you guys for listening. Please like, subscribe. Let us know down in the comments below what you think about the tier list. This is a prediction. We can make another one in a few weeks. And yeah,
Yeah. So thanks for watching, guys, and we will see you in the next one.
bye.